It is Friday, September 19th.
This is The Warning.
And the warning is that the First Amendment is under assault by a fascist regime that won an election by 49.5% of the vote. A week after a tragic assassination, the fascist regime of Donald Trump has attacked and accused all of its opposition as being co-conspirators in murder. And a fascist digital mob has taken to the internet to hunt, to find, and to purge any person who dares to dissent from the deification of a Christian nationalist divider, an outrage pimp named Charlie Kirk.
So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there is no civility in the celebration of political assassination. Get involved. Get involved. Get involved. It's the best way to honor
Charlie Kirk, in his death, has become an instrument of propaganda.
He's like Socrates. He asks questions, and he does it with a smile.
So, yeah, I'm going to go back to Socrates, who did the very same thing and challenged the bureaucrats and the status quo and those in power.
Socrates and Plato, and everyone around the table has. One thing I'll leave you with, we talk about Socrates and Plato. No one ever asked during that era who was the richest person. They wanted to know who was the most thoughtful.
And who was shocked into a career in philosophy to continue the fight? Plato. So there's an entire generation of people who have heard Charlie Kirk's message, and Charlie Kirk found that philosophy unacceptable. And that's why he is a great American inventor, because this is how the Industrial Revolution went forth, was because of tinkerers and inventors who saw problems and chose to solve them themselves.
An incredible legacy, a movement that will only become stronger because of this young man who made a decision to take a different course.
You know, Maya Angelou said that courage is the virtue that's required for all others. And when I see something like this, it's all I can think of in terms of what he was made of.
Laura, I believe that Charlie Kirk would have been president one day. I believe that in my heart of hearts. And that
for them, this is an RFK and MLK moment. He is a generational leader taken down in his prime, but the message has been magnified in a way that these young men and women feel empowered, and they're following his example.
The use of U.S. Air Force personnel to tend his casket is inappropriate. It is as inappropriate as the use of U.S. soldiers in Washington, D.C. to mulch the flower beds. This is an outrage. This video, posted by Charlie Kirk's widow and sent out by the White House.
Good evening. My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America, but most of all, Charlie loved his children, and he loved me with all of his heart, and I knew that. Every day I knew that. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea.
It is as if Leni Riefenstahl herself directed it. Absolute propaganda. And it takes a dark turn. the accusation of guilt leveled by MAGA against its enemies for the assassination of Charlie Kirk committed by a known gunman is purposeful, it's deliberate, and it's provocative. It is aimed to inflame. It is aimed to create zealots and fanatics. Now, amongst the many sordid aspects of this propaganda campaign, none exceed the plans by the incompetently led Pentagon to use the Charlie Kirk assassination as a recruitment tool, trying to merge Turning Point, a political organization, into the armed forces to recruit from Turning Point warriors who fit the mode of Pete Hegseth's imagination. Now, while the degraded U.S. military, incompetently led, seeks to use an assassination to recruit political fanatics to serve MAGA, not the nation, Russian fighter jets are intruding on NATO airspace in Estonia and in Poland as the world steps ever closer to World War III. U.S. senators, members of Congress, media executives, all of them have made an accusation. And the accusation is, if you happen to disagree with the idea that one race is superior to another, or that you support the separation of church and state, or that you deplore the venom that Charlie Kirk had for gay people, then you are guilty, a co-conspirator in assassination. And the evidence of the mob and the puppets on the string making the accusation is everywhere.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges.
And here,
what's next? Because there's a lot of talk about is now a moment to reach out, have a kumbaya moment with the other side, lower the temperature. Is now a moment to step over the other side and forge forward without them? You know, just you say we're winning, just complete the victory without them.
Megan. I'd love to do the former, but who is better at that or kinder in doing that than Charlie Kirk? And they killed him. I don't think it's possible. Again, you know, you see it. You know, the amount of normal people who aren't even political who have they've hit a breaking point. You know, they're not having these conversations on Twitter, I'm sure. They are sick of this crap.
Amongst all of these is the constant string of threat, the demand that everybody mourn Charlie Kirk by acceding to the idea that there are no restraints on Donald Trump's power. And so in this week, we have seen unprecedented cowardice by men like Bob Iger at ABC, at Disney, and we have seen unprecedented malice from men like J.D. Vance, men like Sean Hannity, men like Brendan Carr, and all of the people who in a moment of tragedy saw an opportunity to inflame, to divide, and to take a little bit more of your freedom. Because why? Anybody who opposes Trump is guilty of murder. Didn't you know? That's justice in the new MAGA America. Except for, in America, we have a Bill of Rights. And they include the freedom of speech, and the freedom of assembly, and the right to petition the government. And they don't exist at the whim of the FCC commissioner or J.D. Vance or Donald Trump. They come from a higher power. And it is a big mistake for Donald Trump to both trample and trifle with those rights. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.